Hi all, this is Skate, and today we are going to have a quick look at the M4A2E4, which is the Tier 5 Premium, which is in the store at the moment. I say a quick look, but everyone who's seen my videos previously will know what I'm like. I do tend to ramble on, so this video will probably go on longer than I intend on it, but hopefully it'll be full of useful information at the same time. So, this tank is first off a very rare premium. It does not come into the store often at all. And the short answer, if you can't bother to watch the full video, is it's a very good premium. It's an up-armoured, undergunned M4 Sherman. It's not seen very often. As I said, it is a very rare premium, so there's not a lot of these about, and as a result they are very, very much underestimated. Much like the E2 actually at Tier 6. So the first thing I want to do is have a quick look at some statistics, and obviously the most comparable or comparative tank at Tier 5 would be the M4 Sherman. So the first thing worth noting is the E4 on the left has the 75mm M3 gun, which is the stock gun of the M4 Sherman on the right. This gun in stock form on the M4 Sherman though has a lower rate of fire at 7.88, but I'm not going to be comparing that because obviously you won't be using that gun. If you were using an M4 Sherman, you would take the better 76mm M1A1 gun. So that will be our point of comparison. So, key thing is the 75mm does have a better rate of fire. Obviously these are without buffing with consumables and equipment. One has an 8.22 and one has a 7.45, so you're nearly getting an extra round a minute. In real world terms, what that does give you is just over 100 extra DPM per minute, which it's negligible really. It's not a big amount, but it does mean if you are fighting something like a Sherman, you know full well you'll be able to pull out just before it and be ready aimed. So in theory you should get your shot off first. Where this tank heavily suffers is on the penetration. 92mm is not great. You will struggle to pen anything heavy. You will need to use the APCR, but it's a premium tank, so in theory you shouldn't lose much money. In the games I will show you, I do use some APCR and I still make some good healthy profit. As you can see, the gun dispersion on both the M4 Sherman and the E4 is, let's just say it's crap. Aim time is slightly better on the E4, again, not a great deal of difference though. Maneuverability and armour profiles is where this tank becomes interesting though. As you can see, the E4 has slightly better health points than the Sherman, 20. I know it's a very small amount, but how often do you get shot and end up on 1 or 10? You'll get that a little bit more obviously. Now the hull frontal armour on this is 64. Obviously on the Sherman it's 51. Side and rear exactly the same at 38. The armour on the front of this is much better than it is on the Sherman, and I will show you why in a minute. Before we do, we'll just cover the other stats very quickly. Turret, slightly better on the front on this tank than it is on the M4 Sherman. Sides and rear are better on the Sherman, but this has got a very nice rounded turret, so it is surprisingly bouncy. Maneuverability wise, this tank is slower to accelerate, yet it reaches a higher top speed. That's because it's heavier and it has lower brake horsepower, and strangely enough, it has the same track traverse speed, but the turret traverse speed is slightly better. So this tank basically is heavier, slightly slower, yet it goes faster at top speed, and it turns slightly quicker. It feels pretty much the same, in all honesty, so even though it shows it being slightly slower, it does actually feel virtually the same. Before we go on to the gameplay, I do just want to show you the armour in a little bit more detail. So, just so you're aware, this has 10 degrees of gun depression, the M4 Sherman has 12. But this is more boxy, this tank is, so as you can see from that angle, you can side scrape this tank a little better. But the key thing I want to show you more than anything is the frontal armour. As I said, this tank is more boxy. But when you angle the tank like this, the armour is just insane. The effective thickness at this angle is between 135 and 175. It is patchy, the front of this armour, but all of it is very bouncy, except for those two squares right in the middle. when you use the gun depression, you actually flatten them out. So you do need to wriggle a little bit when you're like this, but Jesus, this thing is bouncy. You will see in the gameplay just how bouncy this is, and as a result, it is really underestimated. The key thing though, if you want to do well in this tank, is you need to angle like that as much as you can. If you are shooting at it on the flat, as you can see, the upper hull is pretty poor on the flat, so everywhere you can, use your gun depression, and it is... oh, it's so much fun. Wait till you see how many bounces I get in this thing. So, if you're looking for a point of reference at the angle you need to be at, you need the gun just on the inside of the track wheel. That's the best angle I have found in this thing. As you can see, if you overdo it like here, your side becomes very, very easily penned. So if I go back at this angle, you'll see it goes red. Obviously, you're going to be seeing it from this perspective in game. If I can try and turn the turret properly, there you go, there. So you want your gun in line with the inside of your tracks, and voila, using the gun depression, it is all red. Obviously, high pen guns like tank destroyers will have a better chance of penning you. As I found out, Hetzers struggled though, even though they are tank destroyers. Obviously with the big derpy guns, they are low pen. You will get a lot of bounces, and you will surprise a lot of people. The weak point, as you can see here though, is the turret. The turret there is still pretty green on the sides of the mantlet. This is another reason when you are using this tank, like I said, use your full gun depression, use it at that angle, pointing at enemies from that angle, and wiggle back and forth a little bit. Don't sit still. If you sit still, obviously you're inviting people to penetrate you. If you don't sit still, you're going to bounce. And I do mean you are going to bounce. The first matches we are going to show you, actually, all of the matches I'm going to show you are the first games I ever had in this tank. So these 4 games are straight out of the bat, straight after filling it with equipment and going straight out. And every single one of them is a high caliber. There is no mastery here. I blame valiant effort still. But every single one of them is got a high caliber in it and a couple of steel walls actually. So without further ado, let's get into the gameplay and let's see what this thing can do. As I mentioned already, this very game is my first game out in this tank, and I have this little stupid thing or idea that every first tank I take out, I have to go gun-ho and test its capabilities. It's a bad idea, I'm well aware of that, but that is my tactic with any new tank. Take it out, go a bit gun-ho, and see what its capabilities are. I was hands down pleasantly surprised with this and what it could do. Now obviously on the stats, I told you I had a .43 gun dispersion, yet you managed to pull clutch shots like that. Go figure. Obviously this one, I get his track, but I still get him. I don't understand how a tank with .43 accuracy can pin so many shots down so easily. Also, you will notice that is 2 bounces already. Obviously this isn't going to bounce, I gave them my tasty sides. But still, I'm going to get myself into cover. I'm going to attempt to deal with him while remaining hidden from the rest of the team. Obviously you can see I've put my adrenaline out. And I'm going to see if I can clip him. Once he's clipped, I am then well covered from the rest of the team. Also note, that is over 4 bounces so far as well. And 2 kills to me, which I'm pretty happy with. He manages to pen me, and as you can see there is an example of the lackluster penetration on this gun. So, don't aim for the very lower hull on them, you will bounce, purely due to the crappy pen. But, if I sort myself out and aim correctly, you will see I do manage to pen him over and over. So that first shot I'm going to put down to, I know it has bad pen, and I did not aim correctly. So if you want your shots to go through reliably, make sure you know where you're aiming, which is pretty much not at the red bits. Yes, I know that is an obvious statement, but you would be surprised how many people aim at the red bits. So there's that game done and dusted very quickly, in just over 2 minutes actually. As a result of that game, I was very happy with this tank and how many bounces I received for my first game out, and here on in, I played this tank very aggressively. This is not a second line tank as your M4 Sherman would be. This is in your face. I'm going to hug you and cuddle you and shoot you where it hurts tank. That is easily the worst description of any tank I have ever given. But it's probably one of the most accurate at the same time. I do play this very aggressively. So you'll see what I do is push up, get myself to a nice ridge, and lean over it and start shooting. Obviously, if you're going to shoot as bad as I did in that first shot, you deserve to miss. Obviously, I got one there. Obviously, that was glaringly obvious. You could see it went in. This one, miles out. And that's not down to the tank. That is down to my appalling shooting capabilities. That Leopard was sitting side on to us. So if you're going to sit side on, it'd be rude not to. There's our first bounce of this game as well. As a result of having nothing to shoot at, I go a little bit aggressive here, and I do pay the price with some of my health. Obviously, driving out with 3 enemies at several different angles is not a good idea. I do get one shot in there, and I did not see the other shot come in from my friendly, but it obviously did come in. And here is another M4, and you can see he is using gun depression, and look how red the front of his M4A2E4 is. I know how bouncy he is in that circumstance. I am not messing around. I am switching to my APCR because I need to guarantee my pens to kill him. He had himself in a very good, very bouncy location there, so I don't know why he came down to me. Obviously, I need to go back. Well, I don't need the APCR now because he's very kindly showing me his side. As a result, I can switch back to my AP. And he is dead. Now there, I didn't do any damage to the Hetzer, but I did manage to take his track off. I think I bounced one on the Hetzer right now. Oh no, I remember now. Somebody blocks my shot. Very kind of him. Anywhere else he could have gone, but no. He had to go right in front of me, so I couldn't get any damage in. Ah, actually no. He had to go in front of me, which meant I shot him instead of the enemy. And then I bounced my shot off the top of the Hetzer. So, annoying teammate, followed by annoying penetration. If I just aimed that shot correctly, it would have gone in, as per the first one did, into the lower plate. On the upper plate, there was no chance. So as proven in these games already, you need to aim, obviously at any weak spot you possibly can, to make sure your shot goes in. Otherwise, it just won't. There's many tanks which have got so high penetration, you don't even need to aim properly, you point and shoot. With this, if you don't want to go firing APCR constantly, which obviously you're using this or buying this to make money, you need to be aiming for the weak spots correctly. Now, I have mentioned this already, but it has a .43 gun dispersion, which is meant to be really bad. Yet I find this gun is quite reliable. And I don't find the lack of penetration actually that big of an issue. Obviously, clutch shots are out of the question. You are going to struggle with clutch shots. With this, there isn't really that much of a problem, though. You've got your heavy armor. As a result, you have enough time to aim in correctly and take the shot off. So you'll see I disconnected on that one, which is why I cut a little bit at the start. And wow, I didn't even stop to look at the results screen. That's awkward and embarrassing. But I can tell you I did 1,900 plus damage, I got a high caliper, no kills, but that resulted in 41,000 net profits, which in my opinion, net after firing APCR, that's very respectable for tier 5. And I can't be the only one who does this. Every time I start this map, I have to just keep looking at the snow. You can guarantee people are going to write in the comments, no, it's only you, Skate. I can guarantee next time they go on the map, they're going to be looking around at the snow. Anyway, on to some proper commentating. This match ended up with me and that guy at the top carrying the team. So, hello Smokescreen, and thank you for your help. And let's see how many bounces we can get in this. So obviously I'm trying to hide the lower hull. You'll see I'm ramping up a little bit to get some angle on my tank. A little bit too much, so I do need to readjust. There's a couple of bounces already. Obviously it is from a Leopard, but they do have very good pen. And this is really how I'd recommend playing the tank as much as possible. Angling it up as much as you can, and keep the very lower plates and the hull at an angle. So we are about to be flanked, which you'll see I'm pulling back to do so. And for some reason, I didn't hit the fire button then, I actually missed it. Which is rather embarrassing and really annoying actually, because you've got a perfect shot lined up and you miss the button. This time I don't miss though. I get a track and his engine, bounce one back, and get one more into him and get a nice fire from his engine while keeping him tracked. So, perfect rate of fire to keep someone tracked. Especially if they've used or don't use a repair kit, which I'm assuming that early in the match that guy doesn't carry one. So the T-34 managed to pen me then because I'm on the flat and he went straight through my upper hull, which he could easily do. And you'll notice on that shot then, as he went to shoot me, I pulled up the ramp a little bit to angle my front hull better. Bounced the second shot from him as well because of angled, and the third shot from him, and ram him a little bit for some damage. And because I'm flat again, he did manage to pen me, and pen me again because I'm flat. But he bounced 3, and, well, penned 2. Which obviously works in my favour because he is dead. Obviously 2 kills for me and 2 kills for that smoke screen over there. And we have 3 left. I do believe he is going to finish off this guy by here. And then we just get 2 Stugs. No, are they Stugs? Yeah, they're Stugs. We're about to see 2 Stugs come running in gun-ho. So, shot into him, tracks him, spins him, and does some damage, which is very nice because I didn't aim that fully. And he is dead on the second one. Now this guy literally comes in head first at me. Obviously you get one, he damages me, but as you can see the tank does turn very, very quickly. And I screw up that shot. You could see I shot it straight into the gun. But that does mean 4 for me and 3 for smokescreen. That by far is one of my favourite things about Blitz. Obviously tank aside is meeting a random player in battle and actually playing well as a team. You don't get it often in Blitz. You probably don't get it often in World of Tanks in general. But we carried the team. I was very happy with that. I got myself a steel wall there as well. And it was nice to have a competent team player who actually worked with you, which is great. And it's also part of the reason I wanted to make sure I gave that guy a shout out. Because like I said, you really don't see this often enough in Blitz. Is random players who actually work well. You would assume you have to have a platoon to work well with another player. You don't. It's nice to see things like that. Now this will be the final game of this replay. As I've mentioned, it's not a mastery. All the games you've seen are high caliber. I want to give a good idea what the tank's like, and as I mentioned, these are all straight out of the bat. Now, as we've started on this side, and as we have very good frontal armour, and that guy is out of shells. That is not what you want to see at the very start of a match, is somebody popping up saying out of shells. Always scary. But yeah, we have got good front armour and we have good gun depression. So I'm using this ridge to go spotting. Now usually when I spot by here, I will pull straight back and basically allow the team to move around a bit more. In this circumstance, I'm very confident in this armour. So as a result, I am going to stay here, watch my surroundings, and take some shots. The Leopard does get one shot into me, but I think it was for a very, very low damage roll. And the beauty of me being here is not only can I get shots into them, but I can also keep them pinned, or at least keep them in that same spot. You'll see the Leo on my team came straight out ahead then and took a nasty shot straight away. He doesn't have the armour to sit there in the wide open, and I always think it's best, especially so early on in a game, to preserve as much of your health as possible. When you have adequate armour like this, then there's no harm in actually going up and being quite aggressive. But when you have no armour like that Leo did, then probably not wise. You'll notice as well how many shots I've bounced so far, and you'll notice some Muppet actually shot me with HE. I'm guessing he got so fed up in not being able to pen me, he decided to go with some HE. This Leopard now, though, does manage to pen me several times, so he is either going for the turret constantly, or he's using APCR. Watching the replay back, I think he is actually shooting the side of the turret, so I'm just going to put that one down to a good shot, and fair play to the Leo for obviously looking where to shoot on me. I know there are tanks hidden up in the camo up ahead of me, but I do want to go and help my friendly with this VK by here. He pops out, I don't shoot quick enough, so obviously I don't do any damage, and obviously he pulls back in before I get a chance to do anything. He's very kind though and reverses out sidewards right in front of me. My friendly decides to ram him, much to his detriment, and I managed to get the kill in anyway. Happy days. Yeah, just as a note or a point of interest, with this tank you need to make sure you fire APCR at a KV-1, because you will genuinely struggle to pen the sides of a KV-1 with this tank. I say that as I came across several KV-1s during my couple of games in this tank, and every time I struggled to pen it. Talking of KV-1s, this guy refused to just let me take my shot, and desperately wanted to keep pushing me out of his way. Obviously I am blocking the path, however I am in a very good position to take care of that M4. The KV-1 just won't let me though. I have now seen him bugger off, and obviously have common sense to go the other way. But nope, he's coming back. I do load some APCR here because he is hard to hit, that tank. Obviously I do come back, but the KV-1 gets the kill. Not the end of the world at the end of the day. I don't actually mind that. Now I am trying to push to get up to this hill. Now by here I do take a fair bit of damage. And the reason being is the side of my tank is very much open to fire there. It was 100% worth it, taking some damage to get myself across here and get myself into a very strong position was very worthwhile. And as you will see now, I am about to use the front of the hull and the gun depression to my advantage to get shots off at these three up here. Somebody just fired HE at me there. I think that was a Matilda actually. So, don't know what gun that T28 is using, but he pens me virtually every single time. So you'll see I'm not stopping, I'm constantly on the move up and down. And obviously being as he is the one penning me constantly, I am making sure that he is my first target out. So in that circumstance, you always need to prioritize your targets. Whichever one is the most dangerous, even if it's a lower tier one who is firing APCR constantly, he is thus your priority because he is the one who's going to get you out quicker. Now I am only on 11 health here, but I do think it's worth it at the end of the game to take the risk. And it pays off because I get another 2 shots in and I get the kill. So, that is the last game of this replay. And the scores on that one were a first class, a high caliber, a steel wall, and a Spartan medal. I also got 50,000 credits, which I was very happy with. It's very good at making credits at tier 5. Obviously it's not going to be good as a tier 7 or tier 8 premium machine. But hey, this thing's tier 5. And at tier 5, 50,000 credits, that's very good. So, in short, would I buy this? Yes, I'm going to. It is Chief Seal Clubber. Actually, we're on the fence there, aren't we, at tier 5. So we won't call it a Seal Clubber, but we'll say it's very, very strong for its tier. And if you are obsessed or very concerned about your win rate, playing this correctly will really, really help your win rate. I've only played 7 games in this on the contributor account. I've got a 100% win rate. I've got a first class mastery badge, 2 Top Guns, 5 high calibers, 2 Confederates, 2 steel walls, 1 Scout, 1 Spartan. I've got Master Gunner 10 in a row, and I got a Sharpshooter of 30 consecutive shots. It's a very good tank. I don't usually go into those details, but I think it's required on this tank just to give you a very good perspective of what it's like. It's cracking. I really recommend this tank to everybody. And it's so easy to use. Just use the gun depression, angle it as I showed you against the track, and it is a monster. Couple that with the fact it's got good credit coefficiency. Yes, this one is one of the keepers. I don't really have that many low tier prems which I use often. This one, I probably will actually. Purely because I actually enjoy it and I'm a huge fan of the Sherman. It is a very, very iconic tank. And this really lives up to the name actually. I gotta admit, it's very nice doing a positive review like this. It's better than my Panther 8.8 review. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed. Thanks for watching and bye bye.